Hey everybody, Clay Archer, CEO DPC Technology. The other day I was at a peer group meeting and everybody was asking, what are you using AI for in your day-to-day life? I realized it's been about a year and a half since I did my top 3 AI tools that I use on a daily basis. So here you go. This is my top 3 AI tools for 2024. Number 3, and this one is a little bit niche, but for me, I use it almost all the time now, and that is going to be Adobe Photoshop. The built-in AI in Adobe Photoshop is just amazing. Chat-GPT has, some imaging built into it now. You can make some really decent images with it, but obviously everything's kind of in that 1080p resolution range. And actually in Photoshop, it typically does generate at that range as well, but there's ways to work around it and make some really incredible images in Photoshop. I have also tried Midjourney. I've used that quite a bit, and some other imaging softwares. I keep coming back to Photoshop because I'm an amateur photographer, and so I do have a lot of images already, so that's great. If you were able to start with a decent image, but you can see like the images that I use just on the webpage. I will take a shot and there's not something I like in it. I can go to content aware fill, create something completely different. If you cut an image off halfway, you can just create such an amazing, replication of what was there and nobody would know. Obviously, Photoshop is a pretty advanced tool and it's not going to be the exact right tool for everyone, but the people that use Photoshop, I think the last year has been a whole order of magnitude more flexibility and control that you've got with Photoshop with the latest tools. So that's my number 3, and it depends on your plan. I am on a Creator Pro plan there, which I think is $29 a month. Pretty all-inclusive. I get almost all of the Adobe products. It's pretty amazing what you can do in there. You don't even have to start with the photo. You can start with a completely AI-generated image and work from there. The other thing about Photoshop, and I mentioned before, everything's kind of in this, I'll call it 1920 by 1080 resolution that everything gets generated in for most of the tools. Some less, some more, and some you have more control over it or less control over it. But the cool thing about Photoshop is you can just kind of do it in tiles where, let's just say you wanted to triple that resolution. You would just create images in a third, and just do 9 images until you got 3 times the resolution that you would with a smaller image. So it's pretty easy to do that in Photoshop. On top of that, Photoshop is coming out with new feature after new feature after new feature with their generative AI, and it's getting better and better. Same way as Chat-GPT. It's almost uncanny how well it works right now. My number 2 is Microsoft CoPilot. Most of our data is in Office 365 or O365 or M365, whatever they call it today. So it would make sense that their AI chatbot would be the best one. The reason it's number 2 and not number 1 for me is it's still a little clunky. There are certain times when it works incredibly well, and there are other times when you scratch your head a little bit. For an example, things that I use it for that are indispensable and amazing and make it 100 times worth its cost. Number 1 for us is summary of Teams meetings. The summary that you get out of an hour-long Teams meeting, it's uncanny how well that AI bot summarizes a hour-long, gone off a million tangents meeting, and it brings it all back into a really quick, succinct list. We are an EOS shop here, meaning we use the EOS system. It's basically a meeting and kind of business management system. So we have a bunch of meetings that follow a set kind of pattern. And so we record every one of those meetings and have it do a summary of those meetings. I would probably say that I personally am in 5 or 6 meetings a week that get summarized, and Christy's probably in another 5 or 6. So I think that it's $30 a month for Copilot. For me, that summary is probably worth the $30 just for the summary of those meetings. Probably in a month I have 30 meetings that get summarized, and $1 to have that summarized is probably worth its weight in gold. So that's number 1 for me, is the summaries. It also does a really good job of summarizing emails, long emails. That portion of the tool is really good. I also like what it's doing for Excel. There's a clunkiness to it. I use it in Excel a lot. I use it as a replacement for Excel Formula Bot. If you saw our video a year and a half ago, Excel Formula Bot is just an awesome tool. And honestly, I probably still recommend it over Copilot for a lot of people. If you're just trying to figure out how to use Excel really well, Excel Formula Bot's amazing. But Copilot does what Excel Formula Bot did for me. Where I'm not so crazy about Copilot right now is everything's got to be in a table and it's got to be in a certain format. It doesn't work every time the way I kind of expect it to work. It's not brilliant yet. When you do certain things in Chat-GPT, you're like, holy moly, that's incredible. Like I just said for Copilot summarizing our meetings, incredible. When I use it in Excel, at this point, I'm still not going, oh my gosh, that's the most incredible thing I've seen. But I do use chat all the time to ask how to do something in Excel, and it is really good at giving me those answers. So, but I would probably give it a C there in Excel, and I'm waiting for the point where it's an A, because I know that it's coming. Christy did a great video on CoPilot a couple months ago. I'll put a link down below to her video. If you really want to see what all you can do in CoPilot, that's a good starting place. I honestly also think that CoPilot is where Chat-GPT was maybe a year and a half ago, where it's on the cusp of being great, but it's not quite there yet. And it takes a while to build those models up. And I know that Microsoft is rolling things out slowly and conservatively. There is also, because it does have your data, there are some concerns about, how it's able to use your data inside of 365. So, security is going to be a big issue with M365. And that's a good thing. You should be using an MSP. If you're not, give us a call. We'd be more than happy to help you with your IT needs. But security is going to be an issue because so much of your data is obviously in OneDrive, in SharePoint. That is a consideration. But my number 2 is CoPilot. I think it's a really good tool. It's $30 a month. You do have to buy it a year at a time. So, it's $360 per user per year. And that's not inexpensive, but I think for most of our clients as an MSP, we're rolling it out like hotcakes. So, every lawyer is going to have a CoPilot. It's just going to be table stakes. It's just built into what they're doing on a daily basis. So that's my number 2. So as of right now in the middle of 2024, my number 1 AI tool is Chat-GPT. You may have noticed that Chat-GPT 4.0 came out this week, which offers a bunch of new tools, especially on your cell phone, to be able to use it more dynamically. I'm not going to cover all those things, although I may do a video on that in the future. Let me know down in the comments if that's something you want to see. But I am going to go through what we use it for on a daily basis. Both Christina and I use Chat-GPT almost every day. The main things that we use it are for content creation. So we both are part of the marketing team here, and we use it not necessarily to write all of our content, but to come up with ideas, to come up with schedules, to come up with outlines and frameworks. You may notice on the channel here that we do a blog for every video. We do weekly blogs, and basically we want them to still have our voice. Obviously, I do these videos, and so a lot of the ideas come out in my ramblings. What we do is we take that and we kind of edit it into a more consumable blog post. We use the Chat-GPT basically to frame that up. We also, which is a really cool feature that they added this year into Chat-GPT, is we'll create images in there. I'm not talking about high-end images. I'm talking about infographic kind of things. The Chat-GPT looking images that you see here and there. They're great fillers. They're great for kind of conveying an idea. I'm a big fan of using photos and real images where I can. Chat-GPT saves you a ton of time by just being able to generate an image really quickly. I also use Chat-GPT outside of just those kind of basic marketing things. I will use it for creating some basic scripting. I will use it to ask generalized questions. So the other day, I wanted to rebalance my portfolio. I told it what I had, I asked it how to rebalance it. It's pretty good at doing stuff like that. Obviously, it's not perfect because it doesn't have all the data in there, so you're kind of asking it to do things in generalities. But if you give it a good common sense question, it comes out with really good answers. And I think it's only getting better and better and faster as time goes on. Obviously, it's learning and learning. So just for general purposes, all encompassing, I think Chat-GPT is still number 1. We pay $20 a month to be on the premium plan. Although I think with Chat-GPT 4.0, some of the restrictions are coming down and the free usage plan is going to be more capable. I may drop that $20 a month that I've been paying for Chat-GPT 4 and just use Chat-GPT 4.0 for free. I'm not sure. I really do get a lot of value out of it, so I don't really feel like the $20 isn't that big of a deal to me. And I would recommend anybody start on the 4.0, start on a free plan, and then see if you're using it too much. In the beginning, we were using it quite a bit, and it was obvious to us that we needed to pay for a real plan. So that's my number 1 at $20 a month or free, Chat-GPT. So that's what I'm using. I would love to know what you're using. Some of the feedback last time was amazing and I learned a lot. So if you have any tips, tricks, things you're using, things you quit using, things you like, things that you think are coming in the future, please put those down in the comments. I'd love to get that conversation started. As always, please like and subscribe. We do videos like these weekly, and we'll see you guys in the next video.